Welcome back to our Alpensee World Celebration Tournament here in round 3. I have Bonnie by my side. Welcome back,
Hello.
Bonnie. I'm
Welcome back to you
excited
too.
to cast again this round, and I heard that there's a really interesting team coming up.
It's a spicy one. It's a spicy one.
It is gonna be that mega camera up that Cat is gonna play. So we have a hard Trick Room team coming up here against that Mega Raptor Sand team. So I think that's again 12 unique Pokemon, no?
I think so, yeah. Yeah.
And
Are we ready to
anything
go
you're
to team
excited?
sheets?
Um,
Um,
I think we need a moment for that.
okay, then. Oh, here we are, team sheets. Great, amazing.
Team sheets! Uh,
I particular do think that Kamaruk looks on one hand very scary against this. It kind of hits. It hits 4 Pokemon on the opposing side super effectively. I don't think Staraptor really likes fighting against Kamaruk and Trick Room. But the one thing that kind of stops it, in my opinion, is the Milotic. Milotic not only here with the wrong with the icy beam. Is that a move I have missed? I do think it's supposed to be the ice beam. But yeah, it's the one that kind of stops Kamaruk because at one hand it one shots it back with Score probably. On the other hand, I don't see anything on Cat's team that really checks Milotic, at least offensively.
Yeah, and I am looking at the team sheets from our players, and the Milotic indeed has that icy beam. I'm a bit confused if it's icy wind or ice beam, I will say, but I agree that the Mega Camera Up is looking really, really good into Fabian's team here on Cat's side. So I'm curious to see how Cat is going to try and put that camera up into this position to sweep with the camera up. Obviously, the Farigiraf and Kangaskhan could be good for that. But obviously, Fabian does have some tools at their disposal. That Goldengo with Nasty Plot is really scary to go up against. And Tyranitar with Knockoff obviously threatens a lot of damage turn 1 into that Farigiraf. And not to mention that despite the camera up, it's not the only threat that Cat has on their side. For example, that King Gambit or even that Barackman that can do a lot of work.
I also must say the Kangaskhan extremely interesting set with Life Orb. Usually you don't see Fake Out with Life Orb because you chip yourself more when you Fake Out than your opponent. But this Kangaskhan both helps Farigiraf set up Trick Room and then is a giant damage threat with hit Life Orb. It can even hit Goldengo with Low Kick because it has Scrappy.
Yeah, and I'm honestly kind of curious to see if Fabian is like which of the Pokemon they're gonna Mega, right? Staraptor is really good early on and just able to spam close combat, and maybe with that Sinistra could go for some heal tech and just tank out the Trick Room. Or maybe they're gonna go with the Tyranitar to Mega that and just say, hey, I'm just gonna go for the straight damage, I'm gonna try and KO you immediately. So Fabian has a bunch of tools there as well, but Cat.
Yes, previously mentioned this Kangaskhan is able to fake out one of the opponents, and I do think both Excadrill and Staraptor are not able to one-shot a full HP for Rigoraf, so we can assume that Trick Room is going up here.
Yeah, that fake out from the Kangaskhan is looking really juicy, as well as the Intimidate being blocked on the inner focus. We see that the Staraptor is immediately going to go for the Mega here. So, contrary up immediately, it is going to try and possibly close combat here, but we won't see what it is going to go for, because the Kangaskhan straight up goes for the fake out into the Staraptor. As we see that the Staraptor obviously flinches, being faster than the Excadrill, and the Excadrill going for some rock slice here, trying to possibly get that flinch onto the Farigiraf. Is it gonna flinch? It's not. It's gonna set up that Trick Room, and we have the speed order reverse, exactly as Cat wanted.
Yes, and also this fake out turned out to not only be just a little bit of chip, but 25% on a Mega Staraptor. Quite the Pokemon. That's a lot of damage. Now we have the Trick Room up. We do have both Farigiraf and Kangaskhan are probably slower than both Excadrill and Staraptor. The Excadrill can't really be one-shot here though because of its Focus Sash. So as it goes for the Protect though anyways.
Yeah, so there is no damage going down into either slot, as the Staraptor also opts for the Protect here. So regardless of what the Farigiraf and Kangaskhan are going to go for, they are not going to hit any attacks, as the Farigiraf goes with Psychic into the Staraptor and Low Kick into the Exodual. Quite interesting targeting.
Yeah, that's probably the premier tactic against Trick Room though. You just double protect to stall out the first turn, then you can attack on the second turn and then protect on the fourth turn, and then there's only one turn left of Trick Room. So effectively you have the amount of Trick Room turns there if you just double protect every other turn. And if your opponent doesn't have any setup, you can't be punished.
Yeah, and also with the double protect scouting, you can see what the targeting is. So this allows for some switches like that Excadrill into the Sinistcha, maybe catching that low kick that targeted into the Excadrill previously, also healing the Staraptor this turn. So allowing it to possibly tank attack, but no, it is also going to switch out here into that Milotic. So now the question is if Cat has adjusted their targeting. It is that Psychic into the Milotic as before. It targeted into this Raptor that's not a Melodic, and it is a double edge instead, so calling that there is a possible switch here and just targeting down the Raptor as well, doing a lot of damage in the meantime. 60%, I think, so that's a lot of damage.
Milotic survives this here, but it's, as we mentioned earlier, it being softened up for Camerupt to potentially sweep in the Trick Room later looks very important. Interesting thing we see here is that the Tyranitar isn't brought at all. This is a Sand team, but there's no Tyranitar. Farigiraf switches out.
Yeah, as we see the Farigiraf switch out into the Sylveon, we see that the Sinistcha is just going to go for the Matcha Gotcha here. So it is going to do a lot of damage to the Kangaskhan and the Sylveon. No burn though, as the Melodic follows it up with a Scald into the Sylveon instead of the Kangaskhan. So this Kangaskhan is free to move. Interestingly though, that the Kangaskhan moved after the Melodic. So that indicates a bit of speed investment here, as we also know that it's Adamant nature. As it also goes down to the recoil of Double Edge and Lightward.
Yes, because both don't have a minus speed nature. It could be the case that they speed tie actually, because if I remember correctly, both have 80 base speed. So this could be a case of both Milotic and Kangaskhan speed time, which might become relevant later.
Yeah, and we see that the Mega Camera, or the camera that has yet to Mega, is coming out, as well as that's the Raptor. But now with only one turn of Trick Room left, it is a pretty free double protect here on Fabian's side with Trick Room running out. And now it is about Cat's team being able to possibly get another Trick Room up as the Sylveon switches out. So Farigiraf coming back in here, and it is presumably that camera Mega in here.
This Camerupt is both happy and unhappy here. It is in a very good position on the field, yes, especially with the Milotic being gone. But I would assume there's a double protect here, and as we see Staraptor protect and Camerupt heat waving with Sinistcha not protecting here and just being completely obliterated by the heat wave.
So interestingly opting to just go and say, hey, I don't need my Sinistcha anymore, and I'd rather have free switching to Exodual afterwards. So now Exodual and Staraptor out. What do we think about this position?
I do think it's probably the Sinistcha felt a little bit like dead weight for Fabian, so they used their so they just didn't protect in order to get a free switch into Excadrill here to possibly get the double up into Farigiraf now. But the one thing we know about Farigiraf is that it survives everything, so it might just survive the double up. As the Raptor close combats into Farigiraf.
Yeah, and the close combat obviously doing a lot of damage here, but the Siege Spray is going to give it out back into a healthy range as the high horsepower comes out. It is going to get the KO on
critical hit.
Because of that critical hit. Oh.
With Farigiraf being on almost, I think, 60-70%, it probably would have survived without the crit. So very fortunate critical hit here. It's not over though. It's still a 2v2, and even though both Excadrill and Staraptor are faster, I think neither of them can one-shot this Camerupt.
Yeah, and the Sylveon also has quick attack here, so the extra duel that is put down to Sash because of the heat wave from Camerupt now is in range of that quick attack as it comes out and just KOs the extra duel here. So Staraptor in a 1v2 here against Sylveon and Mega Camerupt. It does have that close combat defense boost, but it is going to go for the dual wing beat here into the Sylveon. One is doing 28% and then it's only 24%, so it's not enough to get the KO into Sylveon as another heat wave comes up from that Camerupt. And despite the special defense boost from the close combat, the heat wave is enough to get the KO as Cat wins game 1. What a game 1.
Incredible positioning by Cat. Seeing that sometimes as a Trick Room player, you don't even need your Trick Room if you just have killed enough Pokemon already. Camerupt was one of the slowest Pokemon in the game, yet it got most of its kills outside of Trick Room.
Yeah, getting those KOs is really important, especially that early Trick Room. And the bulk of that Farigiraf always speaks for itself. Feeling forced to kind of double up into that Farigiraf to even get that KO and still needing a crit for it just speaks for how tanky that is a Farigiraf. It is also a relaxed nature, so that speaks a lot for how well it can tank these hits.
And what we also saw is that once the Milotic was gone, Camerupt could just switch in completely for free. There's nothing that can one-shot it, and it one-shots or like chunks every other thing on the field. It's very important in this matchup, I believe, to keep this Milotic safe until Camerupt is on the field, to be able to scald it as soon as it doesn't protect.
Yeah, we have talked about how strong Life Orb is of an item, and Camerupt just has Sheer Force after it Megas, so it's basically a second Life Orb. But we are going to go into our Game 2 here, with Fabian leading that Staraptor Sinister, so a bit of an adjustment, keeping that extra duel not on the lead here, maybe even switching it out, as Cat is going for Farigiraf King Gambit here instead, punishing that Staraptor's Intimidate immediately and getting a Define boost here. And with that Sash, it's even looking good to just tank an attack here, possibly.
I do think there was a very well made prediction by Cat, seeing that Sinistra does run the Trick Room, so it could reverse the Trick Room. But with this Sash King Gambit, it just can't set up Trick Room because it will be probably one hit KO'd by Kowtow Cleave. It's a very heads up prediction saying, okay, this worked game 1, but it won't work. It probably won't work game 2, as the Raptor Mega evolves.
Yeah, and this King Gambit is of the brave nature, so it might be slower than than the Sinister. So it is kind of a call if you're gonna Sucker Punch or Kowtow into the Sinister. Is it gonna attack or not? It is a close combat from the Staraptor just going into King Gambit, but it is gonna hang on because of that focus set. Now it is up to that Sinister. Did it go for the Machagotcha or did it go for something else? It is a Machagotcha and it does connect it to the King Gambit, so it does get the follow-up KO into the King Gambit, as well as do some decent shipping for Farigiraf. Trick Room is probably gonna go up here from that Farigiraf, but that is still in favor for Cat here, despite losing that King Gambit turn 1.
Yes, Sinistra was able to pick up the KO on King Gambit, but what it means to attack is that you can't reverse the Trick Room here. So whether Sinistra attacked or clicked Trick Room, Cat gets up Trick Room here because either Sinistra dies to Kowtow Cleave or doesn't Trick Room.
Yeah, and you see that the camera is now free to come in and Mega Evolve. That Heat Wave Sheer Force boost is going to do a lot of damage, and I've not seen any Sinisters be able to really tank that, so I think Fabian agrees with me and goes for the Protect here onto the Sinister, as well as the Protect onto the Staraptor. Just saying, I'm going to play it safe. I don't need to have any fancy attacks or reads yet, as the camera goes for the Heat Wave, and the Farigiraf presumably goes for the Psychic here.
Yes, I don't think there's anything wrong with either of these plays. Cat just sees, oh, I just can go for the obvious plays. Heatwave plus Psychic will probably pick up the KO on Staraptor. I don't think that there's a world where Sinistra can survive the Heatwave. Thus, there's just a double attack here.
As we see that the Farigiraf is actually switching out into the Sylveon, as well as the Sinistra and presumably the Staraptor as well here. It is the Milotic coming in place of that Sinistra. The Staraptor is crucially not switching out here, so it is opting for an attack here of some kind, and it is that close combat that is turning down to the Farigiraf stock that's now the Sylveon, and that tanks quite well. Now, however, with the Heatwave chip, I'm curious if the camera up and Sylveon can KO that Milotic in a double up.
Yeah, Melodic has a pretty similar level of bulk to Farigiraf, so they might not be able to. But it's also important to say this Staraptor now is +2 on both special defense and defense, so it will stick around. Sylveon will still deal a ton of damage, but I'm not sure if it will be able to pick up the KO on its own.
Yeah, it definitely needs that help from possibly that Mega Camera Up or any kind, but it does have that Hyper Beam as an option, so if it just really wants to nuke that Milotic, maybe it can go for that in combination with like an Earth Power. But we see that the Staraptor is going to go for the Protect here, as the Camera Up is opting for the Heat Wave, so just going for another bit of chip, trying to hit both Pokemon on the field. It's doing a decent bit into Milotic, but not as a lot because it is not super effective. And the Sylveon is going to go for the Hyper Beam. Is it enough to KO the Milotic at 67%? It is!
It is!
So it gets the KO on Milotic, and now this is a really good position for Cat, as the Milotic is down and this camera is looking free to do whatever it wants.
Incredibly heads-up play. I'm pretty sure that was pretty close if it picked up, but really good head counts, knowing, yes, if I click Heat Wave plus Hyper Beam, that will kill it and will even cover the Staraptor not protecting.
As the extra duel comes out here. So I'm curious, what do you think is the best play here for either player?
I think for Fabian it might be just a double attack here. You need to punish the Sylveon for hyper beaming, plus both of your Excadrill, which has a Sash, and Staraptor are not able to be killed here. But we see Cameron not going for attack, instead it just switches out for Farigiraf. And Excadrill high horse powers into it.
Yeah, and that brings it down to the Citrusberry range, which is going to heal it up. But it is that double up, as he called correctly. It is that close combat also into the Farigiraf slot. But now, with the Trick Room being reversed, that means that Fabian is free to go for another attack or double up here. The Sylveon is at 60% and the Farigiraf at 70%. So I'm curious what the targeting is going to be here, as it is just a forfeit from Cat's side.
Yeah,
so we are going to go into game 3.
There's no Trick Room coming out. The Staraptor is +3 on both defenses. All Pokemon are basically on the field, are threatened for a one-shot. This was a very difficult position to play from, if not impossible. And Cat sees it similarly and just decides, I'm gonna game 1 it worked incredibly. Game 2 I'm just gonna lose it. I'm gonna go to game 3, gonna see how I can reposition. And forfeits. Very, very well played by both sides here. This game really showed that getting up Trick Room is not enough, especially against this team. This team is able to tank a lot with its different Pokemon. You need to commit with Sylveon, for example, to with your Hyper Beam to take out this Milotic if it's positioned well. And if it hyper beams, it can't move on the next turn, and that just makes you vulnerable.
Yeah, and it was, despite being a good adjustment in that turn 1, seemingly so, the Gigambit does not have Protect, so it is kind of forced to call whether it's a Sucker Punch or a counter that it has to go for into that Sinister, right? Do you go for the counter because you expect the Trick Room, or do you go for the Sucker Punch because it's a Matcha Gotcha? And unfortunately, Cat got it wrong because the Sinister went for that Matcha Gotcha, so really well played by Fabian there to just go for the damage immediately. And honestly, I'm curious to see if Cat is going to adjust it here. Maybe just say go back to the Kangaskhan because that worked out well. Or are they going to say, hey, I want maybe the Directed for anything, or like trapping something in, because there are a lot of switches coming out from Fabian's side as well. I think Fabian is free to go for the same plan as they have so far though.
This game also shows how scary Staraptor can be if it gets the close combat boosts. In game 1, it wasn't able to get any boosts because it got faked out and then killed in Trick Room. This game, it got its boost and it stayed in the whole game.
As we go into our game 3, we see that Fabian is pretty confident and goes back to the Excadrill and Staraptor lead, while Cat has adjusted it to the game 1 lead from Kangaskhan and Farigiraf. So we just have game 1 kind of the game 1 kind of lead repeated here that game 3.
We have the same leads as game 1, which must feel Cat very good about this game. game 1 was such a strong start for them, as you can just safely get up Trick Room without losing anything. You can just fake out the Disruptor, and what does Executor do here?
We see that the Disruptor is going to go for the Protect here, so no Mega yet at all, as the Kingston goes for the Fake Out. So the Executor is free to move here, and it is that Iron Head into the Ferrigev, maybe hoping for a flinch here of any kind, as the Ferrigev doesn't flinch, so it does get that Trick Room up here. Now the turns are reversed.
Yes, Executor can't really look for a KO here, so you do the best thing you can do. Protect your Seraptor so it doesn't get chipped 25% again, and just look for the flinch. If you don't get the flinch, that's fine. You can't do anything better. If you get the flinch, it's very good. Seraptor switches out.
Yeah, and that Seraptor switches out into the Melodic here, so, which is kind of a different pacing here, but the Executor does not go for the Protect, as we see the Ferrigev goes for the Psychic into the Melodic slot, as well as the Kangaskhan going for the Double Edge, so something we've seen in game 1 as well, now bringing it into the red instead of the yellow, so really speaking for the damage rolls that Kangaskhan and the Ferrigev are able to get, as the Executor just gets another Iron Head into the Ferrigev, bringing it down into the yellow, and the Switch is bringing it back into the 50% here. Melodic looking quite low, which is kind of rough for the camera, possibly in the back here. But the Executor has nailed a lot of damage down.
It does have, but I do think Cat probably doesn't see that Executor as much of a threat because it doesn't deal that much damage. We probably see her double protect here by both Pokemon to solid the Trick Room, as this gives us an opportunity to think about the game state. We already mentioned that Milotic is the #1 threat for this Camerupt, and it's already at 24%. So basically, any super effective or strong move just kills it here.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see what Fabian also has in the back here. So they might switch or anything of that sort. Maybe it's a Sinister in the back?
Crucially, the Staraptor hasn't Mega Evolved yet, so no, it's Sinister.
It is the Sinister coming out here, and it is going to heal the Melodic back into 49% of its HP. But it is defendable from Ferrigev. Is it enough to get the KO on the Melodic though? It is not. This heal was really important because otherwise it would have KO'd. It is the Scald into the Kangaskhan here, and maybe it can get that cheeky 30% burn, but it does not. It is the double edge here into the Sinister, which brings it down to 36%. So really just speaking for the power of that scrappy Kangaskhan with the Light Orb, as the Sinister heals back up into 61% of its HP with that Surface Fairy.
Yeah, usually you would assume you can switch in your Ghost type into normal type attacks very easily, but Kangaskhan doesn't care about Ghost types. With its Scrappy ability, it just deals massive chip damage into Sinister, which has to consume its Citrus Berry. Crucially, though, Sinister switching in allows Milotic to live here.
Yeah, because the Sinister is also free to go for any Rage Brothers as the Ferrigev goes before the Kangaskhan. We see that Cat, however, is adjusting for this, as she is switching out that Kangaskhan for the Sylveon, as it's just psyching into the Melodic, not getting the KO here though, as the Sinister goes for Machagotcha, and the Melodic has yet to move. The Machagotcha, however, getting a burn into the Sylveon as well, so that is not something you'd like to see as Cat here. That is shit that comes down every turn. And the Melodic has yet to move. It is that Scald into the Ferrigev, so that brings us down to 1% of its HP, and it burns on top of that, so now the Ferrigev is gone, and the Trick Room is not going to get up here at all, unless the Sinister decides to go for it, but I don't think it's Fabian you'd want to set up.
The one unspoken rule about Ferrigev is that it lives everything on 1 HP, but Milotic just avoids this rule by just burning it and killing it anyways. This means there's no Trick Room left for the rest of the game, and most of Fabian's Pokemon are still very healthy, with the exception of Milotic.
And we still have to see the Raptor Mega Evolve yet and go for any close combats. Also, we have not seen Cat's last Pokemon. We see that the Milotic is going to go for the Protect here. Just say, hey, I'm going to stall out the Sylveon and this Fake Out because I don't need to really play against that.
Also, you get
That's
you get a turn of leftovers. Your
Mm-hmm.
opponent's Sylveon ticks down with the burn. It's just unpunished. The best
It's
thing
really safe play.
Cat could have done was switch out a Pokemon, but I don't know if you want to have your Camerupt in against a Milotic that outspeeds it without Trick Room.
If it is even that camera, yes. I'm curious to
Yes.
see how Fabian is going to play this out because you have not evolved your Staraptor yet. It is the Ice Punch into the Sinistcha, so maybe hoping for a cheeky freeze here possibly as well, but just getting damage down crucially onto the Sinistcha. It is the Scald into the Sylveon here, not the Kangaskhan, so the Kangaskhan gets to hang on another turn, but this Sinister goes for Machigotcha, does connect to the Kangaskhan, actually just gets the KO as well as a crit into the Sylveon, so healing a lot of damage here from this double target here. And Sylveon has yet to move, so it is probably gonna go for that Hyper Voice, I assume. It is the Hyper Voice here, and it is gonna get the KO on Melodic, but Sinister hangs on with 1. What is a Farigiraf on 1% compared to a Sinister on 1%?
It's important to mention here that Double Edge would have, because of Stab, would have dealt more damage than Ice Punch. But Cat didn't want to sacrifice their Kangaskhan there because Double Edge would have killed the Kangaskhan. Though this might cost them the game as Sinister loses 1 HP.
Yeah, and now you have the camera out into the Excadrill for Fabian, and I'm assuming that Excadrill likes to KO the camera here with high horsepower.
I would assume it lives 1, but the Sylveon, on the other hand, is not safe here. Sinistcha, though, as we know, is the fastest mon on the field after Excadrill. So as both Excadrill and Camerupt click Protect, Sinistcha probably wants to Machigotcha, but gets quick attacked instead and dies.
Yeah, and now the burn is ticking down onto Sylveon here. The Protect is burned on the Excadrill, but now Staraptor is just going to come out here. Close combat, high horsepower, Iron Head close combat, whatever you want to go for. You still have a Sash. You can't be burned by the Heat Wave because of sheer force. And honestly, it's looking really, really rough for Cat here and really, really dominant for Fabian.
But yes, I think it looks very favored for Fabian. It is important to be said that both High Horsepower and Rock Slide can miss, so we might see that. Staraptor Mega evolves here to make use of its fighting type and contrary ability, as Camerupt, of course, Mega evolves as well.
Yeah, and Camerupt obviously wants the sheer force boost here. It wants the extra stats against from the Mega. It is just a quick attack here from the Sylveon, so saying that I'm not going to get another attack off with the Sylveon, that in this case the quick attack crits as well. It is going to be the close combat from the Staraptor into the Sylveon, so just aiming to get the KO there and getting that special defense boost. Good thanks to the contrary here. And we have yet to see the Excadrill move. It is presumably that high horsepower. It does connect into the camera. It just gets a straight one-hit KO here. So with that critical hit yet
That's
again.
a critical hit. Camerupt is super bulky, so it would have survived as well. But this Excadrill, it critted 2 times crucially. It just looks so. It just wanted to win so bad. I must say though, how it might look frustrating to lose to a crit, but I would assume that after like High Horsepower would have probably done a lot of damage and Staraptor would have picked up the kill next turn. So it was not a win because of Hex, but still very fortunate to just get this win 100% of the time. Even if Camerupt gets like a crit burn on Staraptor or something like that. Yes, very interesting match. It's always interesting to see Trick Room teams play against non-Trick Room teams because it's both important to have speed control up and to keep your resources, your Pokemon, especially your HP, because a full HP for Farigiraf is incredible. It can probably get up Trick Room even if double up at Farigiraf at 40%, not so good anymore. Even it still provides the priority block, but it's still important to be healthy to get up a second Trick Room. And if you're not able to get up the second Trick Room, you need to have chunked a lot of your opponent's mons or killed them outright. It was a very interesting match to watch, and I think both sides had very good plays
Yeah,
in
and
their
I think that
repertoire.
Cat navigated game one especially well with the targeting because, as you already mentioned, that Fabian has a lot of bulk on his side. They're able to just tank it. They're able to just stall out that trick room that usually is used to just sweep and sweep and sweep, especially including that healing from the Sinister, which has been crucial in some turns to just switch in, get that heal, and just be able to tank another attack, like that Melodic, for example. Also, notably, Psychic instead of the Thunderbolt into the Melodic caused it to tank another hit and get another Scald off, which, if it went for the Thunderbolt instead of the Ridger, it would have gotten the KO there, but Rage Powder shenanigans also makes it hard to kind of say, okay, I'm just going to commit to the Thunderbolt, because if it's the Rage Powder, that looks rougher for your end there. I think really well played by both our players here, and I'm really excited to see what our next rounds have in store here. So,
Yes, definitely.
thank you for casting with me here, and I think we're ready to go into a break and cast some more matches on the side.
Yes.
Thanks for being here. Bye.
Bye.